Hey guys, and welcome to the Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report presented by Angelo DePaola, the Coastal Connection with eXp Realty, the first podcast to bring the local inshore, offshore, and onshore fishing report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. We have a great show lined up for you guys this week, but first, let's hear who's making the show possible. This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report is brought to you by Great Days Outdoors magazine. If you hunt or fish in Alabama or the Deep South, you know that it's different down here. Spawning seasons, patterns, and food sources are not the same as they are in other areas of the country. At Great Days Outdoors magazine, Southern outdoor writers pick the brains of the best Southern hunters and anglers and give you the best how-to, where-to, and when-to articles, along with so much more. Pick up a Great Days Outdoors magazine subscription and become a better Southern outdoorsman. Great Days Outdoors magazine can be found at your local Barnes & Nobles, Books A Million, Tractor Supply Company, Rural King, Bass Pro Shops, or you can save and buy online at greatdaysoutdoors.com. And also brought to you by Fishing Chaos, fishing tournaments coming up near you. For Alabama saltwater anglers, you'll want to check out these awesome tournaments. The 2021 Saltwater Fanatics 6th Annual Inshore Championship will be held on September 11th and 12th with the lowest entry fee and the highest payouts. This is a tournament you for sure will not want to miss. Details, rules, and ticket purchases are now available for purchase on the Fishing Chaos app. For our kayak anglers, check out the month-long Kayak Saltwater Series August Redfish Challenge that repeats in September and October. There are Gulf Coast and Atlantic divisions. 5 redfish aggregate length determines the winner. Tickets are available for purchase on the Fishing Chaos app. Also, the 2021 U.S. Kayak Open begins on September 11th and ends on September 12th, 2021. The overall top finisher of the USA Kayak Fishing Open will be offered a spot on the world team and join current world team members Russ Snyders, Drew Gregory, Eric Jackson, Ron Champion, Cody Milton, Jackson Orr, and Guillermo Gonzalez. This event is the USA Kayak Fishing Team Qualifier, with the top 6 men and 6 women receiving an invitation to join the USA Kayak Fishing Team and attend the next Pan American Kayak Fishing Championship. For more tournaments near you, info and full tournament details, including ticket purchases, can be found online at app.fishingchaos.com/tournament. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Butch Theory. We have a great Alabama saltwater fishing report lined up for you guys this week. Folks, before we get into the reports, we're going to take a few minutes to hear from Marty Carrell over at the Women's Resource Center of Mobile. They're holding a tournament at Dolphin Island Marina called Hold the Line. Tickets are now on sale at the Fishing Chaos app. Let's take a few minutes and hear from Miss Marty. You guys stay tuned.
All right, guys, before we get into the fishing reports this week, I want you to mark your calendars for September 25th, 2021. Not too far off. The Hold the Line Saltwater Fishing Tournament is coming up, and it's going to be a fundraiser for the Women's Resource Center of Mobile. It's also sponsored by the Church of the Island. And to tell us a little bit more about the tournament today, we've got Marty Carrell with the Women's Resource Center of Mobile. Marty, welcome to the fishing report. I gotta first know, I gotta know more about the Women's Resource Center, but I also gotta know why y'all chose a fishing tournament as a fundraiser. So tell us a little bit more about the Women's Resource Center first and foremost.
Thank you guys, Butch and Joseph, for having us on today. So I'm just real excited about what's coming up on September 25th. Women's Resource Center, actually, we're a nonprofit 501c3 faith nonprofit. We have been here in the Mobile area for 38 years, actually. September 9th will be 38 years. So what I love to do is come in and tell people about the ministry, because so many people have no clue what all we do. People have either just a small snippet or they just don't have a clue at all. But all our services are free to our clients that come in, and it's just amazing to watch the lives and all of that are changed and impacted every single day here, in Mobile through this nonprofit. And we do free pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, STD testing. We do parenting classes. We're really about empowering and impacting families. And we have a program called Empower to Thrive, which is a program out in the schools. And that's our prevention side of the program, which we're really passionate about, speaking into the lives of students, helping them set goals, have value, purpose, and potential. And so that we feel like that we're making great strides there. And so we're excited, about what the impact that we're making here in the city. So that's just a little bit of a snippet. I mean, it's a lot to what we do. We have trained professional licensed nurses, sonographers, nurse practitioners, professional counselors, just a fantastic team. I have about 17 on staff with me. We're really busy and we're making a great impact. And I think if anybody could find one place that they can give into, this would be a super place to do that.
Butch and I talk a lot off the air about how lucky we feel to have grown up in a good family, had a lot of good mentors, still have, strong family bonds. And I personally believe that's one of the bigger problems that the country faces is the degradation of the American family. And to see you guys giving back and trying to promote those things, but also trying to work on, prevention of pregnancies that are outside of wedlock, and really trying to provide good family environments for children is what it seems like it's all about. And I can't imagine coming from, like I said, a good family to not have that opportunity. It would put you at a great disadvantage. So it's an awesome mission, awesome work that you guys are doing. But tell me why a fishing tournament? Because I don't necessarily see how those two things align right off the bat. So why'd y'all choose a fishing tournament for a fundraiser?
Well, when I first came, I've been here, it'll be 4 years in January, and most pregnancy resource centers, they do walks and runs and things like that. But I was trying to think out of the box. I come from a huge fishing family, hunting, outdoor family, grew up fishing all my life. My brother, my older brother, he has a company called Riptide Outdoors. So I just, was trying to think of some things that we could do to really bring in family and have a different dynamic and reach out to men, especially, not that women don't fish, because I like to fish, but because, like you were saying, families are huge, and we see such the impact when someone has families like you and Butch have that will come around you and support you. And then we see such the impact that a father, a male figure, has on that woman that we might see, or for a baby, or for students. So I just really kind of wanted to get in on that side of it, and I just love fishing. So and Hold the Line is really just something that I have read, I've used in so many things and so many other organizations, just for me personally when I'm speaking and stuff like that. So I thought, what a better thing to put is Hold the Line, because in fishing, you're really trying to hold that line and get that fish in. So Hey, that's kind of where that went. We started this 2 years ago, started it up in North Mobile County on bass fishing. But this year, just, with lots of different things. And the first one, was our first one. So kind of getting it off the ground, it was okay. Last year, in the midst of COVID, it really was a good one. It was pretty good, but this year we just really felt to kind of broaden that, and just that wasn't working out for us as far as finding a place for bass fishing. And I thought, let's do saltwater, because I know so many of my friends and stuff love the saltwater life. And so that's where we are. That's where we got here. So we're really excited about this year's.
Yes, ma'am. I think it's going to be a great event. Iris over at Dolphin Island Marina has got a list of some awesome prizes. There's going to be tons of categories. We're going to have speckled trout, redfish, flounder. There's going to be cash payouts for each, and there's going to be a jackpot for each of those categories as well as a guaranteed $1,000 payout for the Inshore Slam. So we're excited about that.
Man, you think Bobby's chomping at the bit to get in there on that flounder?
Get that
category?
Flounder. Yeah.
Make sure you let him know. I said if I could be
a stick, if he needs a good stick, you got you.
Right, I know he's going to be on that. Oh, that's going to be great. And man, what a great time of year to do it too, because that late September time frame is starting to cool off a little bit. That's going to be a nice day to have a tournament. Tickets are going to be available on Fish and Chaos, right, Butch?
That's correct. Yep, they'll be live they should be, as you're listening to this, they should be available for purchase on the Fish and Chaos app.
Yeah, well, Marty, people that listen to this show obviously love to fish, and I think that they're going to show up and be a part of this tournament, no doubt about it. But there's a lot of folks that listen to this show that are coming to our area from out of state. They're coming to visit. They are coming to vacation. They're coming down to fish. and they may not be here on September 25th and available to fish the tournament. So if people want to get more information about the Women's Resource Center, if they want to donate to a charity that's got a really great mission, and whether they can fish this tournament or not, where should they go? And give us some more information on that.
We have a website, wrcmobile.org, or we're on Facebook and Instagram. And so they can follow us on there. All the information is on there as far as we'll be posting that. I'm giving shout outs to everybody, to our sponsors. We need sponsorships for this. It would be great for you to be able to do that. If you can't come, there's one way you can give and participate in that sponsorship. So all that information, but like you said, Butch, Fish and Chaos, they'll have that information as well. That's where you sign up, and we're just really excited about it. None of our funding comes. We don't receive any federal funding. We receive a few local grants, but the most of it comes from individuals, corporations, businesses, churches. And so we really depend on the community to help us support us in doing what we're doing. I can't tell you, the lives that are impacted here every single day that come in. So many times people don't know what they're going to do. They're in really tough situations. And so for us to be able to provide the type of care we provide and the professional care that we provide, and us to be able to do it like this from just, individuals or things like this, that's why we do this fishing tournament. And that's why we need the funding to be able to keep doing that.
And you were telling us before the show too, that talk a little bit about, where you're planning this funding to go, that from this tournament. I really want you to get that out on the air, because I thought that was really awesome.
What we began to do is wonder, some of our people in just really tough situations, unhealthy families, unhealthy situations. And so what we started doing is just looking at, why do people keep falling in the river in the first place? You've heard that quote. And so we went upstream, and upstream is prevention. It all starts back in, as a student and younger. So being able to educate students is a big passion of mine, because I feel like if we can do it there, and we are a pro-life ministry, so to be able to go back to me and prevent and speak into their lives, empower them, is the most pro-life thing we can do, so that they won't ever even have to think about what type of situation or choices that they need to make at this time. And so prevention, we're out in schools all over Mobile County. We do a 5-week program. We talk about, the first week is we really start talking to them about goals and how to set goals. We talk about the personalities, because they don't even know themselves and who they are and the things that they like. And we do a personality test. We do love language, and it's very interactive. It's just really exciting to see students in there when you start giving them correct information, and you're not just speaking at them, you're speaking with them, and you're letting them drive the conversation. We have just seen some phenomenal things happen. So that is really where a lot of this funding will go, our money that will go, that we raise here in this tournament, to help us continue that. We are right now like in 5-6 local high schools through their health classes. But my heart is to be in every single high school in Mobile County. And let me tell you, the teachers and the administrators love having us, because they don't have the time to spend on this, but we do. So we go in through the 10th grade health classes. We abide by all Alabama education guidelines, and we work really close with the health teachers. And it's a 5-week program, 1 day a week. And that first week, like I said, is about value, purpose, and potential, setting goals. And then the second week, we begin to talk about technology and the effects of technology on this generation. And then the third week, we begin to build on healthy relationships, because that's what it's all about. Not just healthy relationships with them and their partners, but also healthy relationships within their families, or with their friends or their coworkers, because goodness, don't we see such just a lot of volatile with the relationships in our society, especially right now. So we want to empower them how to communicate, how to be that good friend or that good family member or that good partner. And so, and then the very last lesson is on sexual health. And like I said, that abides by all Alabama state guidelines. And so we begin to talk with them about the decisions that they make and where that will take you if you don't stay on track, if you don't set goals, if you don't have something you're working toward. So just to watch their mouths drop open on some of the things we discuss because they don't know. And I'll tell you, it's like this, Joseph. This is what I tell people all the time. This right now, in this generation behind us, or behind me especially, we have put them in a high-speed race car, and we've told them to turn, make sure you stop at the stop sign, making sure you turn on your blinker, yet we have given them no understanding of the power of the car. So they get in, this 10-year-old gets in this car and he's heard what to do, but the power of the car is just, he had no clue. So it's a wreck. And so that's what we're seeing right now in our students, middle school, high school. And so we're trying to do everything we can to empower them, because I don't want to say nobody gave me that information, but that we do what we can to fill the gaps to help them thrive, because education, graduation, rate has fallen, but this will help them, enable them to stay on track. We've even got a great story about that, being in the school and what we were able to do for one of our students. So it's just a really good thing, but all that goes back, all that adds to and builds upon what our main goal here is, to be there for a woman when she finds herself in an unplanned pregnancy, because so many of them come in here and they have no clue what they're going to do. And they have insurmountable odds against them. But we want to be that person, that group that comes alongside of them saying, hey, we're with you. And then hopefully when they choose to parent, they get involved in our parenting classes, which is such a great, great program. It's called Empowered Parent. And so they come in those parenting classes. They build relationships with the people that they're in the class with. They have mentors, teachers, and this is an ongoing throughout pregnancy. We teach them how to parent, how to take care of their baby, all of those things. Fathers can come in there too, and we love it when the fathers come in, and in there they accumulate points and they shop in our boutique with all the points that they've earned, and they get diapers and wipes and clothing and all of that. And all of that makes such a huge difference on what a woman will do when she comes in here, because she has no idea how she's going to take care of this child. And so all of these programs just build toward helping her, make the choices that will benefit her and her family. And we do option counsel. We're not here to tell people what to do or what not to do with the choices that they have, but we hope they'll make an educated decision and they've gotten all the information that they need to make that when they come to Women's Resource Center.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It's important work. And, Butch and I are both young fathers, and I can't imagine having to do that at a young age, and having to do that without the help of a spouse. And I can't imagine missing out on it either, as a father. So it's so awesome that you want to speak to the men and also get them involved and hopefully prevent a problem from happening, but also be there for folks when there is, an accident. And that's great work, and it's going to be a fun tournament. We appreciate you coming on today and telling us about it and telling us a little bit more about the Women's Resource Center. We're going to be looking forward to September 25th. I hope everybody will mark their calendars and consider giving if they can't be there for the tournament. So thanks a lot, Marty.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you guys. We're so excited.
It's going to be a cool tournament, Butch, but that's some heavy stuff, man.
It is, man. Her passion, it's very in your face, and it's very contagious as well. You can hear in her voice how passionate she is about it. And that's contagious to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it is. And, I just think the work they're doing is fun. It's fundamental when you look at a lot of the issues in society.
Yeah.
Vast majority of them can be traced back to
a particular point in time where you had to make a decision here or there.
Yeah. And it really traces back to that family, and some of that can be prevented and some of that can be taught, and they're doing all those things they're that influence in people's lives who didn't get it, aren't getting it where they should be. It's really cool. Important. The other thing too, we didn't talk about is sponsorships. There's guys, if you're listening to this, if you're a business owner They are definitely accepting sponsorships for this tournament. That's another way to generate revenue for the Women's Resource Center. I hope you'll consider sponsoring this tournament because that's another way. And then the ticket sales, Butch, that's another cool thing.
Yep. Yeah, man. Before we move on, I definitely wanted to mention that the way we have this thing lined out, or the way that Fishing Chaos and the Women's Resource Center have it lined out, thanks to Church of the Island, every single ticket sales dollar goes straight to the Women's Resource Center. And as you were mentioning earlier, if you're from up north or you can't make it down for the 25th, if you buy a ticket on Fishing Chaos, it goes straight to the Women's Resource Center, but it also puts you in a drawing for a kayak and a nice Calcutta cooler. It's a pretty big one. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Buy a ticket, whether you're going to fish it or not. And that's just going to make everything that much more successful. That's the way you can sponsor this, whether you can fish it or not. So very cool stuff, guys. Y'all show out in big numbers for them.
That segment was brought to you by CCA Alabama, a great way to support conservation projects like the Claude Petite Flounder and Speckled Trout Hatchery in the University of South Alabama Cobia Tagging Project is through the purchase of a distinctive CCA Alabama saltwater fishing license plate. You guys head over to Alabama Department of Revenue's distinctive license plate page at revenue.gov to get yours. And also brought to you by Killer Dock. As anglers, we put a lot of time, money, and passion into fishing, but most of us do not have a fish cleaning station that we are proud of. Many of us are suffering from dock dysfunction. A rodding table with rusty metal, this is just no good. But the dock enhancement that we've all been waiting for is finally here. Killer Dock uses marine-grade aluminum to make fabulous fish cleaning tables and stunning canopies that will keep us out of the sun. Killer Dock combines durability, function, and design to uniquely upgrade your entire dock experience. Visit killerdock.com to see more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've been doing some fishing myself, luckily, so hopefully I'll be able to pitch in and pick some of these guys' brain and get as most information out of them as possible. Let's go ahead and get right into this thing. Let's head on down to Orange Beach, Alabama. Let's see what Chris Vecsey has been up to over at Sam's Bait and Tackle. All right, Chris, welcome back to the show, man. I know you've been traveling a bunch and fishing a bunch. Welcome back. How you been doing, man?
Been good. Happy to be back. Well, I guess, always ready to be back on the road or going somewhere different, but it's been good to be on the water a lot here the last few weeks. That's for sure.
No doubt, man. I know you were over in California, and you're right. It is fun to fish in different places, but there's no place like home.
No, absolutely not. It doesn't matter where you go. You have fun and see different things, catch different fish, learn some new techniques, apply stuff you do at home to their waters. But the thing that I think I end up getting most excited about, of course, is when you come back home and people always say, hey, how was your trip? It's always something to look forward to, but it's been good. Been good being on home waters the last week and a half. That's for sure.
No doubt, man. Well, walk us through what you've been doing. I know you've been a little bit inshore and a little bit offshore. Let's start our way offshore and work our way in. I saw where you, let's just tell us, saw where you caught a couple white marlin. Just kind of walk us through what you guys were doing and how you caught them.
We went out yesterday and we were going to do a full day initially, but boat owner had a little bit of emergency, so we had to come back pretty early, unfortunately, but didn't matter. It paid off. Ran down. I'd gotten some mixed reports from the fads, out there near the spur and down the canyon, and it seemed like some people are doing okay, but when you have a quick trip and you got to be back early, it's like, all right, time management, where do I need to go where we're gonna have the best chance of catching fish? So I actually started out pretty close, right around the nipple area, and the water was clean and green. Really wasn't bad looking water, and there seemed to be a lot of bait, but there was a noticeable absence of any kind of action. I mean, there was nothing going on the surface. You weren't seeing any kind of bust or anything, feeding. We trolled a couple different areas, trolled up on the 50 fathom line around the, some actual structure, and just weren't getting bites. So, looking at the time, it's like, all right, let's pick up, let's run further south. So ran down towards the top end of the elbow, and as we were approaching the elbow, I noticed the water had cleaned up a good bit. It was like a really nice, clean, blue green anyway. I wouldn't even say it was blended blue. I'd just say blue green. And as we got close to the elbow, it started going back into green. So we pulled them back, and we kind of got, determined where that clean water line was. It wasn't bunched up. It was just a fade over the course of about a quarter to a half mile. And so that's where we put lines in and started working in there.
What were you guys trolling with? You said put lines out, so I assume you were trolling. Were you guys pulling some baits, natural baits, or live baits, or dead baits?
Yeah, I mean, this guy that I was fishing with in particular, he hasn't done a lot of trolling. So, and he's my kind of guy. He doesn't want to go out there and just kill a bunch of fish. He doesn't care about that. He just wants to have a good time. But, he seemed pretty fired up at the idea of bill fishing, and obviously the white marlin bite's been very good. So I put out a spread of kind of a 50-50 mix of teasers and actual baits, and mostly stuff that was smaller, geared more towards the white marlin. And, whenever I'm white marlin fishing, I don't put out a spread of, I'm not going to put 7, lures or baits out with hooks in them. I'd rather put more stuff out that's, to tease them and fire them up and then actually pitch bait to them. Your hook to land ratio, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. If you do just drag and snag with lures on white marlin, your hook to land ratio is not always the best. Those fish they're not like a blue marlin. They love to come up and kind of bat around at the lure with their bill a lot. And many times
can be very frustrating.
It's very frustrating. And what happens is they get that hook looped around their bill, and they start pulling drag, and you see them back there doing the windshield wiper on the surface, just sitting there shaking their head back and forth. And more often than not, they're gonna throw the hook. So I like to put out 3 or 4 different teasers. Squid chains are still my favorite. And we'll have a couple ballyhoo rigged on circle hooks, maybe one with a duster or something. And, we'll mostly pull baits that are going to be more designed to where we control the actual feed on the fish versus him just coming up and blind striking a lure. So that's what I did, is pulled small ballyhoo, both naked and behind, dusters and junior islanders. And then I had out 2 squid chains. I had out a little bird chain with some flaps on it, looked like little bonita. And the squid chains in particular, those fish would come up on the squid chain just absolutely fired up, angry as hell at the world. One of them actually grabbed the first fish we caught. He actually came up and ate the pink squid chain and wouldn't let go of it. I mean, the outrigger's, bowing over. And, I mean, he's just back there holding on. You see him shaking his head, just holding this teaser in his mouth. I mean, they're fired up. And there was a number of other whites caught yesterday, too, in that same from that area down to the a couple of the fads. But it was very fishy in there, pretty much right on the outside, like looking at the top of the elbow on a chart, right about 750 feet is where that blend would start. And as long as you stayed right outside that change from where it went from that green to that good clean blue green, there was a lot of bait, a lot of surface action. We saw a couple other marlin free jumping. That area just had a lot of life in it.
Yeah, man. We tagged a white just north of the ghetto, and the water was looking great. I would say it wasn't the cobalt, but I would say it was the clear blue green, like you're talking about there. We tagged a little white on Saturday evening. Same thing, smaller leader. We were actually, it was our tuna stuff, so it was pretty small stuff. He ate a little small ballyhoo with like a pink squid, kind of the same thing you would use over your sword bait, if you were deep dropping daytime. It's fun fish, man. Cut up, jumped a bunch. It was pretty cool. Came to the boat pretty quickly and made a good release on her. But right before that, we had seen like the perfect size blue marlin just freaking out on a bunch of bait right by the boat. I mean, like 20 yards from the boat. We were trying to get the kite up, and he was chasing bait everywhere, and everybody was freaking out. There's nothing like seeing a big blue marlin just going off on some natural bait, man. It's a cool thing to watch him shower and all that.
No, I agree. I think out of all the things I've seen offshore, still one of my favorite things is watching a big blue, freely feeding, not coming up in the spread or something. That's always cool too. But to watch one of those things feeding naturally on tunas or mahi or anything like that it's always a good show. Those things are relentless. Yeah, I don't envy the bait fish's position at that point, because those things get on top of you. There's not much that's going to keep them from following through and actually getting its food.
Yep, no doubt. They are a natural born killers for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, what else, man? Let's work our way in. What else you been doing?
It's kind of like yesterday when you asked me, hey, what have you been up to? And I was like, trout, reds, panfish, bass, marlin.
Right. No big deal.
I've been going to the kayak, of course, catch some bass and some panfish stuff. But the last few days, excluding yesterday, of course, offshore, I've been fishing the grass flats, over here to the east, especially once you get down into Perdido Key. Man, the redfish on the grass beds right now are thick. There's some really nice trout. Me and my friend Sam tried to set up on a fish the other day that was probably, I'd say 29, 30 inches long. I mean, it was a big trout, and we pulled up current of it, and I'd slide back down. Sam was on the bow, ready, and they just couldn't get in position to target that fish. It was a big lone fish working this grass edge, but we did real well. I got through all kinds of tackle this week. I threw, conventional gear, of course, top waters, wake baits, but they were really turned on to the flies this week. Gurglers, top water style flies, and then basically any smaller bait fish pattern in a darker color, not so much lighter patterns, but actually darks like black purple, black and orange, or like a brown, like kind of backwater minnow pattern was working real well on them.
Man, I know we've been dealing with a pretty big giant moon, and I think that affects our inshore fishery as well as our offshore fishery a lot more than we think. What are your thoughts on both inshore and offshore from what you've seen, dealing with this big moon since you've been fishing some?
I factored in on both of them for sure. It definitely disrupts their feeding patterns inshore, I think, even maybe more than offshore fish. But, you can definitely tell when you get on a flat early. Sometimes early morning, you don't have the action. You might find fish, you might find bait, but this weekend fishing the grass, I find tons of glass minnows, juvenile sardines. Everything was really happy bait in the morning. Like first thing in the morning, I would not be popping fish left and right. As the sun would come up, sometimes it'd be 8:30, sun's been up for almost 2 hours. That's when the feed would actually start again. And I think it's like anything, fish have feeding periods just like we do. We can't just continuously just eat. Well, some people can.
Right.
But, fish generally are going to, they're going to gorge. They're going to feed on abundant bait supply. They're going to get full, get lethargic. That's when you'll see on the flats, you'll see redfish will be just laying in potholes. Trout will be just laying in the grass or on the sand somewhere. And those fish, they've already fed. They're not hungry right now. And you've got to kind of just, you can try to, dead stick, natural looking baits in front of them, try to get a reaction strike. But more often than not, you're not going to get a big bite again until their next feeding period comes up. And sometimes that might be a few hours.
That's an interesting, because I'm just thinking about Friday, I believe it was. We were out there. We smashed grouper early in the day, and we kind of got to tuna grounds, what I thought would be an ideal time. 3 or 4 o'clock, get set up, and we started out trolling. There was some nice fish activity on top of the water. There was some decent yellowfins busting. They weren't really busting. I would say they're doing the roll. You know what I mean? That lazy roll. And my brother was up in the
little porpoise roll.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
And my brother was up in the tower on the escape, and he's like, "Man, they're just not doing their thing. They're just being lazy, just kind of rolling up on top." And that makes sense. And he had said, what if we'd have been here a couple hours earlier to get that midday bite with the moon being so full? So that all ties together. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I've always on a full moon. It pretty much if you're in open water, sometimes you'll get on those tuna bites, but a lot of time on a full moon you have a midday bite. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because early morning, fish have been feeding heavy all night because they have, whereas most nights they don't have this abundant light supply. They can't see as well. A full moon, it lights everything up and it takes away that survival advantage those bait fish have when it's dark. And I think because the fish feed so much heavier through the night, they're not as likely to have that early morning, kickoff like you normally do. So.
For
Sure.
sure.
I think on a full moon, midday is, sometimes when you get that big tuna bite.
Yeah, man. As soon as we got there, we got a couple nice black fins on the troll, and it was so dang slick that we put some helium in the kite, or put some helium balloon on the kite, and we're barely able to get the kite up. But we started out with 2 baits, and then the wind died even more, and then we went down to 1 bait. And we picked a couple that way, but eventually it was just 0 wind. And I think if we could have kept the kite up, we could have picked a few here and there, but it was tough fishing, man. The sharks were very, very abundant. So that mixed with not being able to get the kite up, it pretty much shut down us tuna fishing, really. I mean, there's no possible way you could have chunked. And we tried to live bait a couple of times, and we just kept getting crushed.
Yeah. No, the sharks are just, you brought up the sharks. That's been a sore subject, I think, most of the summer. They're always a pain, but there's definitely more and more and more of them every year, and so many more of them, of course, are protected now. I'm not going to say I condone going out there and just obviously killing a bunch of sharks, but man, I wish there was a few less of them. That's for sure.
I'm telling you, that's what we were talking about. And I know I've said it on here a couple of times. I just don't know what we do about it.
Shy of going out there and just being a
Murderer.
just removing a bunch. Just murdering a bunch of them, removing a bunch, which obviously wouldn't really be a positive answer. Yeah, it's not a positive answer. There's two ways to look at it. Usually the healthiest of ecosystems do have a healthy supply of apex predators. So
yeah, true.
There's kind of there's two ways you've got to look at things like that. And, the selfish side of any fisherman is like, well, God, we got to get rid of a bunch of these things. They're making sure I can't land any fish, but that's their world. So
yep, that's how they eat.
Yep.
Well, cool, man. That's a great report. Anything more to add on the inshore? I think we covered offshore pretty well.
As far as inshore goes, I've been fishing the grass beds. It's still hot. Like you get up in towards like some of the creeks and stuff, there's really not as much going on up there other than smaller trout right now. There are still some big redfish, but that's kind of a given in just about any body water here. You can always run into a big red, inshore or offshore or on the beach or wherever. But the trout have not really shown up in the upper bays at all. The water is still too hot. The main thing right now is finding, if you get on an open flat or anything like that, find bait. If you find bait, there's going to be plenty of fish nearby. Like I say, we're mostly catching trout and redfish, but there are huge bluefish on the grass this week. Like I say huge, that's a relative term. Obviously we have pretty small bluefish here, but we were catching fish that were legitimate, 5 and 6 pounders, which on light tackle was a blast. There were flounder on the flats. There was a lot of nice fish up in that shallow water.
I just think right now we're I feel like the past couple, probably 3 weeks, I feel like we've kind of been inshore, on the inshore side. I feel like we've kind of been beating our head against the wall a little bit. And I just think we're in the dog days. You know what I mean? I feel like we're in that trend that we're on the verge of, transitioning into fall fishing. Water temperatures are pretty dang hot. It's just kind of a weird period right now. I feel like there hasn't been a whole lot of change in the inshore game pretty much this whole month. You know what I mean?
Yeah. August is always it's a grind. August is a grind inshore. You gotta expect to have to work for your fish some days. Now, some days you get out there and you find fish quick and get lucky, but there's plenty of days where you're going to have to put in 2 or 3 hours to really start getting on some decent action. Like you said, water temps are at an all-time high. You get those days where the surface temp actually will hit, 88, 89 degrees in some spots. That's bath water. I mean, that's not even comfortable.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, that was definitely what made me think of that whenever with your report. Just like you say, that's a great way to put it. August is a grind. So let's just, Captain Patrick is always trying to be positive about, just go out and have fun. If you don't catch your ideal species, go pull on something. Don't beat your head against the wall, learn from it and have a good trip, learn something on the water and do something a little bit different if we're in one of those weird, funky periods. You're stuck in the August grind. So that's a great report, man. I talked to some people and, the beach fishing has been kind of a struggle for the last couple of weeks, or maybe even months. All the grass, and it's just been kind of a weird.
Yeah, the grass has been bad, but here lately the grass has actually really subsided.
Good,
and
finally.
The fishing has definitely improved from it. And I mean, there's some nice pompano caught this week. Plenty of whiting. If you go out on the beach right now and find any kind of decent washout, or a little bit of a bottleneck on one of those inside bars that really funnels a trough in close to the beach, you're going to catch whiting. And there's been some pretty good size ones too. And along that, while you're doing that, while you have set rods out, Spanish have been thick on, in close to the beach, throwing spoons, little diamond jigs, plenty of Spanish mackerel. No, I would say now, through, the end of October, that we got 2 really solid months of beach fishing coming up. So there's a lot to look forward to. We just need, we normally get some kind of cooling period here before too long. Not necessarily cold, but at least to get a little bit drier, a little bit of a drop in that temperature, allow these water temps to come back down a bit. And we really need it.
I need it. I know I need it personally. I'm ready.
Yeah, I did yard work. I did yard work for a couple hours before I came into the store today, and I didn't hit a stopping point. I just made a stopping point. I was like, all right, I'm done. I was absolutely drenched and was just about over. It's just we've hit that peak for the year for sure. It can only, it's got to start cooling down before long.
Got to, man. I'm ready. I'm in. I hope you're wishing that upon us. I'm in.
I'll wish it.
All right, man. That's a great report, buddy. If folks want to get up with you guys, come by Sam's and get a new setup or pick your brain about what's going on this time of year, what's the best way to get in contact with you guys?
Pretty much you can call the store 7 days a week, 251-981-4245. Of course, we're open 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. until Labor Day. Labor Day will start closing at 9 p.m. But, come by and talk fishing with us or give us a call, either or.
Awesome, man. We'll look forward to talking with you next time, Chris. Stay safe over there, buddy.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right, folks. It's always good to hear from Chris Vecsey over at Sam's Bait and Tackle. Y'all go see him at 27122 Canal Road, Orange Beach, Alabama. All right, folks. That's another great segment. Let's take a quick break and hear from a few of this week's sponsors. That segment was brought to you by Sam's Stop and Shop. The Hunting Exchange. In this day and age, we all know it is a struggle to sell hunting equipment on a large social media platform, and that's where the Hunting Exchange steps in. Hunting Exchange is an app for iOS and Android that gives you a one-stop shop to buy and sell your hunting gear. Whether you're looking to sell your bow, broadheads, technical apparel, stands, saddles, or anything in between, this secure platform allows you to buy and sell gear with confidence. As a buyer, each dollar you spend is insured by PayPal, and as a seller, there are no hidden charges like other platforms, and listing items is also free. Gone are the days of having listings removed from Facebook and worrying about being banned and removed from groups for wanting to sell something as simple as your bow or knives. So head on over to the App Store or Google Play and experience a new hassle-free way to buy and sell hunting gear by downloading the Hunting Exchange app today. And also brought to you by Photonis Defense. Photonis Defense is proud to offer the PD Pro line of night vision systems. The PD Pro series is the world's smallest and lightest night vision goggles built around the Photonis 16mm filmless 4G image intensifier tubes and their hybrid filmless 18mm image intensifier tubes. The ultralight, ultra-compact night vision systems deliver cleanest image, best resolution, smallest, most transparent halo, and best overall performance and function of any night vision system available. The PD Pro line consists of the PD Pro M 16mm monocular, the PD Pro B 16mm binocular, and the PD Pro Q panoramic night vision system. Photonis Defense, masters of darkness. Let's head on down and get our Inshore report. Let's go see what Captain Richard Rutland's up to with cold-blooded fishing. What you say, Cap?
What's shaking Butch Daddy?
Oh, man, I'm doing pretty good today, dodging some rainstorms, but I've been fishing a decent amount and got a good report this week, man. What you been up to?
Oh, man, little this, little that. Inshore-wise, I've kind of had a little bit of a tough start to the week right here behind this full moon. Kind of made things a little tough, got the bite a little off. It's kind of had like some really, really good days and then had some really slow days. Yesterday was kind of a slow day, and then today, bam, bounced right back, which is typical behind the full moon. We're about 3 days behind the moon, so and it's always tough this time of year, on speckled trout and redfish, and heck, blackfish been kind of acting a little funny too. But it's just hot, and you get around these moons and right behind them, it gets a little tough. So, but looks like we're on the upswing. Had a real good catch today. Stayed in shallow water all morning, and we had good success on voodoo shrimp and live shrimp. Caught a few on top water first thing, then heck ran around to kind of finish up the morning and help cool us off from this heat. Golly, it's been hot, and found a handful of blackfish, so it was fun.
Nice, man.
But yeah, the blackfishing's been a lot of fun. As you know, we fished together last week and had a pretty epic day with those two giants that you caught. So
yeah, I would say that's pretty stellar day.
Yeah. I look to see that just to continue to hold up through the summer. Usually I catch blackfish all the way through the end of October. So as long as it doesn't chill off real early, it should stay pretty consistent.
For sure. Yeah, Vecsey and I were just talking about, he put it pretty well. We were just talking about how the past couple, three weeks, maybe even a month, the report's pretty much been the same inshore, which is usually not the case for us. We're just in that August grind is the way he put it. And he's right.
Well, I'll say this, I might be poo-pooing on my report just a little bit, but overall, I have been very, very, very impressed with how the inshore fishing has been this summer. Generally speaking, when we get into these really hot periods like it's been, where we're soaking wet and sweating by 8:30 in the morning, these are usually the really tough times for speckled trout. And generally speaking, it's been very good. I've been seeing very good numbers on my trips, and just speaking to other fishermen, captains, charter captains, and whatnot. Everybody's had a great year, and I don't know where to point the finger. If we're just having we've had a real good year class of fish. I kind of would like to point the finger at. Yeah, I was gonna. That was you took the words out of my mouth. I was gonna say I want to point the finger at the state checking us up on some of these regulations, enforcing a slot, and I think we're we're in year 2 of it, about to hit. I guess this August in September when they turn over the licenses, which is I guess we'll start year 3. I believe that's correct.
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, and I think we might be starting to see some repercussion from that. Maybe still a little too early to point the finger. Like I said, we could have just had a really good year class of speckled trout spawning and producing lots of babies and lots of fish. But man, it's been great.
Yeah, I think all around that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, but there's also I don't really do a whole lot of deep water fishing, but the deep water stuff out in the Bay and Mississippi Sound has all been real good. That's always a live bait deal for most folks. Doing a slip cork or a free line around some of the reefs and the gas platforms and the rock piles and things of that nature. I'm real impressed, and I was kind of comparing notes with Captain Bobby a little bit too. So is he on how good the artificial bite's been. We've been able to catch a lot of fish on voodoo shrimp and topwaters and slick lures and stuff like that. We caught a handful of nice fish yesterday on slicks, so you still got that going on as well. I hadn't been able to get out and wade fish a whole lot recently, just because of the nature of some of my trips, but I'm assuming that's probably really good as well. Still seeing how much activity's been in shallow waters. It's been an exciting summer.
For sure, man. I mean, going back to the numbers of fish, and I would also like to hope to think that, people are just becoming a little bit more conservation minded, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Look at the rodeo this year with how many, we had a absolute smashing record of live speckled trout that folks brought in, and they were happy to bring them in alive, happy to let us keep them and tag them and release them. And I agree. I think I hope that's a
here to stay.
Yeah, here to stay, but maybe a result of your show and us educating some anglers, and hopefully everybody kind of agrees that we're seeing an uptick in numbers and size, and everything's just been through the roof. Caught a lot of really big fish over the summer, and a lot of other anglers have too. So it's really neat to see.
It's great news.
Can't wait to see what the fall brings. Hopefully, got my fingers crossed. All these storms are starting to fire off, and got my fingers crossed we won't get like a big bad rain event and have another flood. I still feel like we're still seeing some effects of that dirty water from that tropical storm we had back in June, and it's August. It's salty, but there's still some of that brown water floating around out in the bay, and there's pockets of green here and there, but who knows? But
yeah,
I don't know. Just everybody keep their fingers crossed and say your prayers at night that we'll have a good fall. I'm starting to think back. You can tell fall's on its way. It's I'm scheduling my morning trips, and we're leaving later and later. So and you can tell it's getting dark a little earlier. So the days are starting to get shorter. The fish will probably start to see that or feel that here in the next several weeks, and maybe start transitioning on up the bay as long as the water quality holds up. So that's something to look forward to new on here in the next couple of weeks. I'll probably start sniffing around up the bay a little bit. The trips that I've been on where I've been kind of forced to go up the bay with like a west and southwest wind where the island kind of becomes unfishable. Really starting to see a lot of bait up there on the western shore and shallow water. When I'm up there messing around, starting to see like some shrimp jump around, great big rafts of mullet all over the place.
What I was just about to say, goodness gracious, at the mullet we saw on, what was that, Tuesday we fished or Monday? Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that's right. And I really didn't even think about the mullet thing until Andy DePaola with us mentioned about COVID last year and the mullet not getting fished so hard for the roe in the fall like they usually are. So maybe that's helping us out too.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. A couple things back you up. Whenever we were fishing on Monday with Angelo and his dad Andy, you and I were talking about and checking the tides whenever we were moving from spot to spot, and you were checking that NOAA.gov, the real tide app. I know we've talked about it on here before, but it's been a long time. Why is that so important if you're fishing in a region to know the real-time tide report?
For me, I check that as much as I check the radar when it's rainy or the wind from some of the buoys and whatnot. And I kind of correlate water level with what flats I can go on and what flats I cannot go on. So really, that's more what I'm looking at is like when it relates to shallow water trout and red fishing, it tells me where I have the ability to go and not go. The other side of that is like when you start targeting blackfish, for instance, like we've been doing a bunch of lately, there's a lot of areas that are unfishable when the tide's screaming, either coming in or falling out. And I'll kind of wait till I see the tide start to flatten out so I can go in a place like the Ship Channel or down in the Mississippi Sound or fish around the bridge where the water will slow down enough to where I can fish some of those areas. And then when it's screaming, I know places I can go to get out of the tide. So just as it relates to our listeners, think about places where the water screams, like the bridge, when you have a hard incoming or hard falling, and those places become fishable when you're approaching tide change, like the tide's ebbing out and getting high, or it's bottoming out and getting low. It presents a few more opportunities, but I more pay attention to it for the water level on the flats. So I know which flats I can go fish, or, if it is low, I know, and I go fishing like an island or something, I know I need to stay way out off of it. I don't need to go charging in close to the point because the fish just aren't going to relate well to low water, and you coming in there with the trolling motor on your boat and displacing water and making noise, they're going to be a little bit more spooky. So it just helps me with my whole approach to the shallow water side.
Yep, that definitely makes sense, man. That's a great explanation. Well, it's been a while since we've talked about that, and it is very important. And it is crazy how much different, a generic, just say East Fowl River, for example, looking at the tide app or whatever it is, a tide app that says East Fowl River, it can be pretty drastic sometimes. It can be an hour and a half off from when it actually starts changing.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's what's neat about that website is that you get real-time data, and there's definitely a delay, like from Dolphin Island all the way to the Causeway. There's a 2-hour delay. So if it says it's high at 8 a.m. in the morning at Dolphin Island, it's not high up at the Causeway or near the Causeway until 10, and then vice versa on the low tide. And you can kind of guesstimate. Well, really, the tide calendar that the state puts out tells you what the difference is, but all kinds of things affect the tide. Like when we had that tropical storm that came in a couple 100 miles to the east of us, what was that, last week or the week before last?
I think so.
We had an extra foot of water in here. It was getting up to 3 foot above zero on the gauge. Like a lot of times you'll see it like in a period we're in this week with the nip tide. You have a good south or southeast wind, southwest wind, something out of the south. It'll help fill the water in some, so it'll bring the water level up some, and vice versa. When you have a nip tide and you've got either no wind or a north wind, it'll take some extra water out of here. So you definitely have to account for the wind, because the wind will fill it up a foot or drop it a foot a lot of times.
Oh yeah, no doubt, especially when you're talking about these tidal rivers off of Mobile Bay. It can make a big difference in there.
For sure.
All right, Captain Richard, got a couple more questions, a couple more brain busters before I let you get out of here today. Man, it's hot, like we've been talking about for a little while. It's hot. The water temperature is hot. Are you seeing anything as far as, I mean, obviously in shallower water, it's going to be, the water temperature is going to be up there a little bit more. and we're almost on that transition period. I feel like, hopefully we're gonna get a cooling of some sort, whether front's gonna come through. I think it's gonna transition here in the next 3 weeks. As far as hot water, are you doing anything to combat that, or what are you seeing on the real shallow flats?
One thing I will say that I've taken note of here recently is that most of the fish that I'm having success with in shallow water are somewhere relatively close to deeper water where they have access. And I don't know, that could be just one of those things where being closer to that deeper water. And when I say deeper water, I'm talking about just as little as like 6 or 8 foot, not like 12, 15, 18 foot of water. Maybe when that tide's coming in, it's bringing a little bit of a cooling effect in there to them, to where they're favoring those. But some of these places that are, a mile or two inside these I guess shallower bays you'd talk about around the island, or even in the Mississippi Sound, the fish are relatively closer to the deep water, if that makes any sense.
Definitely makes sense.
Not catching, and that really mainly just relates to the speckled trout. I feel like nothing really affects those redfish. They're just going to be wherever they can find something that smells good and they can find some forage. But speckled trout are a little bit more finicky, actually a lot more finicky, and I think that's part of the key to my success in this shallow water thing. I wouldn't say I despise doing the deep water like slip forking thing this time of year, but I'd rather be fishing shallow. And like I said, I think some of these fish are relating to some deeper water that's close by.
That definitely makes a lot of sense. And I bet the tide change, you would think, especially with an incoming, I bet it does have a little bit of a cooling effect, just kind of get some moving water in general.
Yep. Turns everything over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's a great way to put it. Turns everything over.
Yeah, man, I tell you what's really cool is you're seeing lots of shrimp all over the place. Mississippi Sound, full of shrimp. Every time I'm down that way, I'm seeing some shrimp kind of shower and jump out of the water. Seeing some bird schools in the Sound. The bird schools don't really blow my skirt up a whole lot. Every time I kind of stop and fish on them, there's like a lot of like 8 to 12, 13-inch trout, not legal size fish. It's great action. Or there's like a lot of gaff top sails tend to get under those shrimp and get the bird schools going. They're great action.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely seeing a lot of that, and that's just kind of typical. I do stop on them from time to time and just check, and that 99 times out of 100, that seems to be the case. You'd have to catch about 15, 18 trout before you catch one legal size fish. So, but it's great action, and I think it's just great to see there's a lot of life around right now.
Absolutely.
And then, like when you and Angelo DePaola went up the bay the other day, and we're fishing some of that shallow stuff, I was seeing shrimp jump out of the water and swim by the boat and stuff like that.
Every time I pop my cork, 2 or 3 of them would pop on my line.
Right. And that's typical this time of the year. I think most all the brown shrimp are gone out of the bay. And generally speaking, late summer into the fall, the shrimp want to go up into the tidal rivers, into like Fowl and Dog and the Causeway. And I'm sure the same thing happens over on the east side of the bay, like in Bon Secours and Magnolia. That's where the shrimp are wanting to go, the white shrimp. And as I understand it, they're going up there to spawn, if I understand that correctly from whatever the books say.
Yeah, that's right.
But and then that's why the redfish and the trout start to concentrate in those areas. Is that's where the food is. That's where the feed is. And then they kind of get trapped there all winter. It's just a cycle of life, watching it happen right in front of our eyes. Pretty neat
That's
stuff.
right. It's amazing. I'm definitely ready for fall fishing.
Yep.
Ready for that transition.
That's right. Yeah, and you can also tell the other thing about that shrimp thing. All your bait shrimpers, they're not down here around the island anymore. They're mostly like on up the bay a little ways. And they're catching bait real good right now. I know Deer River Bait and Tackle has been loaded up with live shrimp. So if you're looking for live bait, that's a great place. I'm not real sure who else has it. That's about one of the only places I get bait from. I know Jemison's down here has been fairly consistent having it as well. So
good to know, man. That's a great report. Yeah, I know folks want to get up with you and book a trip. I know you're busy, but still have some openings. I bet you're booking up probably all the way through fall, man.
Yeah, I was, just looking at my schedule. I've got some. I don't know if I have any holes to fill in the rest of this month. Of course, we're at the end of the month. I know there's a few spots in September available, man. And if everybody's starting to think about fall fishing, I'm pretty open in October and November right now. So plenty of dates to be had, and that's some of the most fun fishing there. And is right there around that time. It starts to cool off and things start to move up the bay, get a little bit closer up to Mobile and whatnot. So we're not traveling all the way down here to the island because it's so far down. It's so far down here, But
Right, definitely. Into the world.
Everything starts to sneak up that direction, So I'm looking forward to that here for too long.
Yeah, me too, man. And whenever I think about September and October, I'm thinking about offshore too. So I know you got that Ocean Master now. How's that looking?
Man, looking good. We've got plenty of availability for that. And I know as well as anybody how hot that offshore fishing gets in September.
Absolutely, man. If folks want to get up with you and book an inshore or an offshore trip, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Man, just go to my website, coldbloodedfishing.com. You can find my contact info on there. Give me a phone call. We're also on Instagram and Facebook.
Sounds great, buddy. We appreciate the report as always, and we look forward to hearing from you next time. Keep whacking them.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that's another awesome report, and it was brought to you by Foster Contracting, Fortified Roofing Pros. The recent thunderstorms that have been producing wind and hail in the area may have damaged your home's roof. The certified roofing pros at Foster Contracting offer free roof inspections, and if your roof has received damage, most homeowners will have little or no cost out of pocket when going through your insurance. If you're looking for quality construction with a dependable, licensed, and certified fortified roofing professional, give the Fortified Roofing Pros a call at 251-973-9999. They're a family-owned business that is big enough to get the job done, but small enough to care. Remember to support the local businesses that make your local podcast possible and check them out at fortifiedroofingpros.com. And also brought to you by Fish Bites. Are you tired of scrambling for bait whenever you decide to go fishing? Have an artificial bait that's better than live bait ready to go at a moment's notice with Fish Bites. It's easy to pack and travel with and shelf stable, and not to mention tough. With Fish Bites, the bait stays on the hook and the fish stay on the bait. Check out the full line of scented saltwater and freshwater baits and tackle at fishbites.com. All right, folks, that's another great Alabama saltwater fishing report. We got to do What Did You Learn before we get out of here today. I took away several things from this report. I would say probably number one, what Vecsey said, August is a grind, and it is. It's hot, like Captain Richard and I were talking about. It's hot. The water temperatures are hot. But the good news is it sounds like fish are pretty much everywhere they should be. If, slip corking on the deep structure in the bay or in the sound is your thing, it sounds like that's on as well. Sounds like you can catch a decent amount of fish in the flats. We had great success in Mississippi Sound on some shallow water stuff on the flats this past week. Triple tails heating up. If you're on anywhere on social media, I know you know that. There's seems to be 10 different triple tail posts a day. That's a good thing. Take one or two for the freezer and release the rest if you can, so we can keep that fishery sustainable. It's a lot of fun fishing right now. Don't beat your head against the wall if you get between a rock and a hard place on the trout and you just feel like you're literally beating your head against the wall. Go do something a little bit different. There's so much stuff to catch right now in so many different ways. Watch the weather and you guys get out there. All right, guys, that wraps up another great segment. Let's take a quick break. Check out a few of this week's sponsors. Today, What Did You Learn was brought to you by B&M Pole Company. B&M Pole Company is the leading manufacturer of crappie poles in the world today. Their product line has evolved to include top quality gear for anglers who fish more than just for panfish, including their Sam Super Salt series designed for shallow water fishing for trout and redfish. These rods will deliver everything you need to catch these inshore fish at a great price. The genuine Portuguese cork handle feels great in your hand, and the exposed blank and touch system will add unbelievable sensitivity. Stainless guides are durable and flow smoothly. Check out their whole lineup at bnmpoles.com. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up this week. You guys, please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like us to email you the podcast each week, just text the word fishing to 314-665-1767. Again, just text the word fishing to 314-665-1767. Subscribe to our email list, and we'll send you the new show each week. We'll see y'all next week. You guys keep whacking them. Be safe out there. This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report was brought to you by Sam's Stop and Shop is your one-stop shop located at 27122 Canal Road in Orange Beach, Alabama. Sam's has a little bit of everything, including a deli, inshore, offshore, and surf fishing tackle. They also have bait, clothing, groceries, name brand sunglasses, and so much more. Stop by and shop or call them at 251-981-4245 today. And also brought to you by Hold the Line Saltwater Fishing Tournament. Mark your calendars for September 25th, 2021. The Hold the Line Saltwater Fishing Tournament is a fundraiser for the Women's Resource Center of Mobile and is sponsored by Church of the Island. Mark that date, and tickets will be on sale soon on the Fishing Chaos app. Learn more about WRC Mobile at wrcmobile.org. Also brought to you by MB Ranch King hunting blinds and feeders are built to last, right here in the USA. They offer high-quality, easy-to-use corn and protein feeders that can be filled with both feet on the ground. Call Kevin today for more info or a quote at 205-807-2937. MB Ranch King, built in the pursuit of perfection. And also brought to you by Hilton's Offshore Charts, bringing you the highest quality online satellite fishing chart since 2004. Your source for sea temps, altimetry, currents, and watercolor at hiltonsoffshore.com.
This week's Alabama Saltwater Fishing Report brought to you by me, Angelo DePaola, The Coastal Connection. Find us online at thecoastalconnection.com.
And also brought to you by SunSouth. For quality John Deere equipment affordably priced, visit your neighbors at SunSouth. Visit your local SunSouth and check them out on the web at www.sunsouth.com. And also brought to you by Bucks Island. They have new pontoon boats, bass boats, bow riders, and aluminum boats for sale. They provide boat service on all kinds of boats, even if they weren't purchased from Bucks. Visit them at 4500 Highway 77 in Southside, Alabama, or give them a call at 256-442-2588. And also brought to you by Test Calibration. Test Calibration is your source for sales and service of diesel turbochargers and fuel injection systems since 1976. Contact them at 800-822-0057 or visit them online at testcalibratindieselandturbo.com. Also brought to you by Advanced Transmission in Spanish Fort. Give the professionals a call who have been trusted on the Gulf Coast for over 25 years at 251-626-6061 or check them out online at www.advanced-transmission.com.